First up is Cameron. Let's take a look. So at first glance, I don't see any problems here. Let's take a look at the checkered texture. I'm getting a little bit of funny graphics card issues where this is working a little bit inconsistently. So it's worth noting another approach. It's like it'll work sometimes, not others. So in case you're having a problem, this is sort of good to see. You can just assign a regular checker, or you can download like a checker from online. There's a lot of grids you can get. I found one here at this address, and I can assign that to the character if it's being funny like this. So I'll go to panel, hypershade, and I'll just right mouse click and assign new material, Lambert, map, file, browse, and then here's that test grid. And yeah, I'm still getting some weirdness. Try yeah, see, it's just acting a little funny. So that's so strange. It's like it's just some probably graphics card issue. Anyways, so you can see the texture now, and this can be a good way just to take a look at your take a look for any distortion. So if anything looks sort of stretched or strange, and the letters and numbers kind of help you find the location of it, but they also help you find distortion. So there's really nothing on here that's causing me any concern, so I think your UV texture is just fine. So yeah, that's very strange, the way that graphics card's acting. I mean, just need like a reboot or something. Anyways, but I did want to comment on the model a little bit. Let's just put this back. I noticed, for example, you have these extra loops here, like these going along here and then along the arm, and you'll notice that they're all kind of along the same plane. And I would ask, A, do you need them? And then B, if you do, and I kind of think you don't. Oh, is this kind of, I think maybe the issue is you might want to terminate some of these here and then get rid of them, because I guess the point is if they're not helping to find the shape, like if they're all kind of planar like that, going along the same plane, they're really not helping the shape of your body, and they're just extra edges that don't add to the definition of the shape. So I would get rid of those and just terminate them. The stuff coming off the hand, like at the wrist or somewhere around here. I mean, you could use one like this one. Actually, I might want to see continue along the arm. The only catch is, I mean, you can make changes to your model after you do UV mapping, but there's the potential that it will mess it up. But it is possible. So the crotch looks a little strange. It's kind of like pulled into the extreme there, so that might, you can work on that shape. So anyways, make sure you're looking at this rough. I might touch up the model in a few ways, and you can do that if I select faces and I do under select using constraints, and then on the next selection select end-sided faces. Oh, I guess there's not as many as I thought. Well, anyways, there's a few like there and there and there you might want to address. I thought there was some more that I saw, but So it's not too many, but those will kind of help you find where you might need to either continue, something like that, or terminate it into a triangle somewhere. And then, and deal with all this extra stuff here. And then finally, just make sure before you try to rig this that you smooth it, meaning just kind of smooth. Okay. But anyways, focusing on the UV map, is fine. I just think the model needs some touch-ups. Next up is Sebastian. And let's kind of take a closer look, because the the checker thing seems to be working fine in this file. I'm not exactly sure why the last file was acting weird. Again, I'm not seeing any sort of extreme distortion in the checkers. But nothing looking too alarming. So, this looks good. Let's just open the outliner in a little window here. What he's done is he's put these in groups where that one, now it's not showing the checker. Or is it? I don't know. Oh, you know what? I think it wants to have the surfaces actually selected to show the checker. Yeah, that's the problem. I was selecting the groups, and it wants the actual individual surfaces selected to see those. So that's the deal with that. Those look fine. So, you have a seam down the top middle. If you can do without that, which you probably can from the looks of that, it's just, to the extent that you can hide your seams, it's better. Let's just take a quick look. I'm going to select edge, double click there, and I see that's going all the way around. So, it might just be, here, this is the top, right, is this one. So I might, get this guy, and then shift double click here. Oh, it wants to go all the way around. Let's try that again. Select this one and maybe not go so far. Whoops. I don't know why it's not. It should be just doing the points in between the two selections instead of that whole thing. But anyways, I can just control select and get rid of this stuff. That's not what I wanted. I'm just holding down control and clicking and dragging to get rid of the rest of that. So now I just have that seam selected along there. And let's try merge and sew, which would be this one, right? Move and sew, Oh, that went berserk. Do not like that. Let's see what happens if we unfold that again. No, terrible. I'm wrong. So it looks like you do need that center, so we'll leave that alone. You can always paint over the seam in Mudbox, so it's not a big deal. Eyes should be pretty straightforward. Obviously that's more than you need for those, but it's not a problem. And Oh yeah, eyebrows. Yeah. So, anyways, all together, it's the UV map looks all good. Obviously, these are need to be separated, but this is the main one, and oops, looks like you have a good amount of detail. You'll have for the face, so should work well. Next up is crystal. One of the things you want here is, if I look at that, that looks fine. Actually, let's grab the whole. Let's just look at the whole thing. Interesting. Okay. So, with a quick look here, there's nothing grabbing my eye as being problematic. Let's just sort of look at these one at a time. One thing is you want to fit these in quadrant 1. So if I right mouse click and go UV and select those, and then I might just be able to hit the layout button, and it'll fit. Now they're smaller, so you might be able to be a little bit more strategic than this in how you lay them out. So like R for scale, I can scale these up and then see if I can fit these in here myself. Well, that's too big. But the point is you do want to fit them in the quadrant. The layout thing will do it for you automatically. I might not be smarter than this. Maybe it's... I was imagining doing something like that, but maybe I can't figure it out. Yeah, so actually it could just be... just use the layout thing. Oh, that's a little bit better. Now that I flipped one, I think it's using some more of the space. Anyway, so you're going to want all these to fit in the quadrant 1 here. So those do, that's good. As does this. You could go ahead and scale up the face more. Just use, and you can even put it sideways there to just max that out. So you're using as many of the pixels as possible. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I think overall, I think this is the UV is fine. I think the model could actually use a little bit more detail. I'm a little concerned about the eyes and the mouth having the detail it needs, because there's not much there. And you'll definitely want to smooth this before you attempt to rig it. Delete the history, so forth. And I mean, if you did add some more geometry to the eyelids, for example, you would probably have to fix your UV map afterwards, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal. But you'll need to redo that step, at least for example, the face, if you work on the face. Next up is Todd. So I was taking a look at this, and you've got your stuff in the 4 different quadrants, and you really want to put everything in quadrant 1 as sort of the standard way of working. You could just hit the layout button, and that'll do that for you. And then what I would want to do is scale up the face and then lay that out again. And then, but apart from not being in quadrant 1, I think that all your cuts and your layout are fine. I don't see any areas of concern here, so I think you've done a nice job. Yeah, that should work well. So yeah, just get your stuff into quadrant 1 and it should work out well. I was just playing with him in Mudbox, and you'll see that Like it doesn't want to paint on the stuff that wasn't in quadrant 1. So that's where that issue comes in. Next up is Deborah. It's another one where I'm getting that weird thing where I'm not getting the checkers to show up, and I'm not sure what the deal is with that. Things that catch my eye as an issue looking here is you have some areas where the UVs are overlapping each other, and that is a problem. And then we've got this. What is that? Oh, okay, that's just some more overlapping areas. So let's just make sure we have everything selected and hit the layout button, and that'll get it all nicely in that quadrant without any overlapping. And then I'll take a look, see if I can assign a new material to the surface, and then I'll just look at that, and then double click color map file, and I'll use that same test grid I had before. Good, that's working. Okay, so now we can just look for anything that looks particularly stretched or pinched, and yeah, nothing's jumping out as a problem. Might want to take a quick look at those ears, because that's looking a little odd. Oh, and the feet are looking very stretched. Yeah, this is, when you're doing this checker thing, it's that kind of thing that you're looking for, is that sort of stretching. So let's take a look at those two things. You can just grab a couple of UVs, and let's go into let's do the side-by-side thing again. Right, mouse click, 2 panes side by side, and put the UV texture editor on one side. So yeah, I can kind of tell just by the shape of this that the feet are looking pretty squished, kind of. And so let's grab the shell of this. And is the bottom of the feet on the bottom too, huh? Or that is the bottom. That one. And this one. And that one. And let's unfold those again. Oh, I'll just convert the selection to UVs, 2UV, 2UV, and then unfold. Okay, that already looks much better, and you can see that fixes that right there. That's great. Okay, so I just had to unfold again. And I also wanted to, yeah, check the ears. I mean, they look okay when I look at this. It's just, it could just be that they're small. And they are small, so that's what I might do, just to be on the safe side, since we have the space, is I might just scale those up a bit. Yeah. And then I'll just select all these and then lay it out again. But now I've got the face is not, remember I like to scale up the face proportionally to everything else, and that I kind of lost that, so let's select that again and lay those out again. And yeah, I think we're in business now. Everything is looking okay. Next up is Nadia. Yeah, so at first glance, really this looks good. This looks all good, and the character, I'm not seeing any areas of concern on the UV map. Yeah. I think modeling wise, I think the hands could use some attention. I think you need some more splits at the knuckles and maybe a little more shape on the hands. And I think, when you smooth this before you rig it, this is actually good to point out. You see that when you just hit smooth, your UV maps should all be fine. They stay intact because it just kind of just adds detail. Oh! We did have this guy. I guess, when I look at this again, I didn't realize that some of these things are overlapping and not in the right quadrant. So let's go ahead. So I guess there are a couple issues, which is, and again, just select all these and lay them out again, and that gets them all in the quadrant. So that's a really quick, easy fix. Not a big deal. But yeah, as I was saying, when you smooth the character, if you haven't added, any geometry, and by adding geometry I mean like doing extrudes and that kind of thing, it should just work. The UV map should just work and be fine. But it's when you really modify the geometry, like move stuff around a lot or do extrudes, that you'll have to rework the UV maps. But in this case, I think you should be able to smooth and then delete history and then reg. Nadia had some questions about the color feedback, and after you've scaled up the head, obviously it's going to turn everything proportionally red. And I wouldn't get too hung up on the color feedback. It's really just a tool to help you find problem areas. So I think that the checker is a fine way to sort of assess to see if there's any problems. And again, when I'm looking at the checker, it looks fine. So don't get too hung up on the color feedback. So here's Stevens, and got lots of stuff UV mapped, which is great. Everything kind of laid out for us here. There's a lot in this file, so I'm gonna just do show, isolate, select, view selected, just to kind of make it a little easier to look at one thing at a time. And yeah, nothing strikes. It's fairly dense at this stage, but I think it's fine. I'm wondering where those seams are. It's just sort of an odd looking shape there. Let's put on those texture borders so that maybe we can see that a little bit better. I might do a show isolate, so turn that off and then actually turn that back on again. So I guess that, it's not really an issue. I would tend to, just keep that straight there so that you don't have that extra row of faces, which is, it's not a big deal. And then for here, I might again keep that seam straight and there as well. So that could be like a slight improvement, but it's you can paint on it. It's not going to be a big problem, but it's just where you blend, and you might want it to be a little more predictable. So it would be a slightly cleaner job if this was more consistent, the seam. Yeah, let's just keep doing that. That seems to work well. Wow. Yeah, that looks really good. You got the seam in a good place in the back here, and should have plenty of detail to work with, and checkers all look good on there. Yeah, might be a little bit of stretching in here. Nothing major, and I think it might be kind of hungry for some more cuts. I'm just curious if I run layout again, unfold again on this, if it'll do it any differently. Yeah, it's a little slow because it's just a very dense mesh. So is that any better? Maybe. They look a little more square to me now, I think. But yeah, there's still some stretching going on. So I do kind of think this might be asking for another cut, because where's the border edges on this one? There it is. Yeah, because look how it sort of ends right there. Like, I think I would keep going, all the way around, and I think you'll get a better layout on that one. So it's sort of, I would just say, continue the cut so it kind of goes all the way around. You could also do something kind of maybe instead along the inside here, and then whoops. Sorry, hold on. Yeah, where we don't. You could put the cuts along where we don't see him, where it's covered up by his head, which I think for the most part, yeah, that one you don't see. So the most part you have, I would just go all the way around. I guess is the point. Can we look at the coat? Oh yeah, we already looked at the coat. Sorry. What do we need? Pants. Yeah. Nothing of concern here. A little wondering. Let's look at the color feedback on that. Okay. Yeah, nothing. I mean, it gets a little bit red here. So you could pull that out this way more. One way to do that is get out the image. Okay, is if you let's kind of use this tool and grab some UVs. Whoops. I guess it's only very slightly pink, but then if I use soft select, maybe it gets slightly less. Oops, I think that's too big. Oh, yeah. Yeah, kind of like that. I can sort of stretch that out of it. See how it's going from like pink to a little bit blue? So, but again, it's probably fine. I don't even think you need to, but if you want to really get in there, you could. Yeah, actually, that is looking a little bit red there. I wonder how the checkers look on that one. Yeah, you are getting some stretching if you look at, like, for example, the size and shape of this checker and versus that one. That is a little bit on what we're trying to avoid. And I think overall, I think you're being a little shy with the number of cuts here. I think, again, let's look at those texture border edges. Yeah, I would certainly expect to see, for example, a border edge, like somewhere like one of those. Oh, I want edges. Is that not selecting an edge loop? Oh, I'm sorry. I have the soft select on. That's why it looks so crazy. So definitely cut there. That right there is going to help probably quite a bit. Maybe along the back here. Oh yeah, I guess that goes all the way around, but it'll certainly help. And then, so even just those two, and then unfold that again. And yeah, there's a little bit of stretching stuff going on here, but I would say that's much better. So I feel like you could use a couple more cuts on those boots. Yeah, I mean, I think when I looked at the images of these, they looked fine. So I'm just focusing on the character. And if you didn't do any of that, it would work fine. But I think the shoes are the one. If I did something on any of those, I haven't looked at the gloves yet. Actually, let's take a look at those. Yeah, fine. Why isn't this showing up? That looks really dense there, but maybe it's dense on the model. Yeah, it's a little bit red there. Again, maybe one more cut. Yeah, I like these, straighter. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it just, either. Okay. Oh yeah, it looks like So it looks like you've got this going through here on the inside, but it doesn't. It seems to not kind of finish. Like I'd sort of want it to go all the way along this side too. And I think if you do that, you'll get yeah, because you have them kind of ending there, and I would just continue around. Might get a little bit better. Yeah, but anyways, it's all good. It's all fine. You could touch it up a little bit, but even if you just use it as it is, I don't think you're going to run into any major problems. Next up is Byron. And yeah, as I've been saying, I prefer that everything get put in quadrant 1. So I would select all these and lay them out in there. I think that yeah, looking at the checkers, yeah, nothing is grabbing my eye as problematic. We could take a look at the color feedback as well. It is showing up that as kind of red, but I don't know, they'll need that much detail there. Anyways, what I would recommend though is that you scale this face up so that you have more opportunity to paint more detail there. And then let's lay these out again, so that you can paint, finer eyebrows. You'll have more pixels to work with there. I think that there's maybe some modeling issues left on the hands. You'll want, yes, something's gone berserk there. I don't know if that's just in the version I'm looking at. But give the hands a touch up. These are too close together, these edges, and you could use a neck one or two more at the other knuckles and get a little bit more shape to the hands. So give your hands another pass, and then you may have to check your UVs after you do that. But otherwise, yeah, the UV is looking good. So for Kaylee, this is another one of those examples where I really need you to delete the history before you turn it in, because I'll show you what I'm getting. I'm getting this kind of scrambled looking model, and then the UV map is insane. And but even looking, based on this image, I think this character needs a lot of work, and I think it looks like maybe you used automatic mapping. I'm not sure, but this is cut into way too many little pieces here. So you might want to go through that again. And also, just in general, I think that the model either needs to really get some attention and kind of be more finished, or I think the model, I just think it needs a little bit more work, but again, I can't really review it unless you turn in a version where you delete the history. So please do that, and we can kind of review it properly. But I'm afraid to say that you should keep moving forward with this, because this UV map, again, it looks like you just did automatic mapping. Oh, would that be at the top? Yeah, auto. So that's not what we want to use for this. So yeah, I would take a step back, delete the history and turn that one in, but also take a step back and do the UV mapping, where you're cutting it up like I show in the lesson. Next up is Sue-Ann, and let's take a look. Maybe a little distortion around the eyes, but I think it's okay. Just take a look at where you have your splits. Yeah, they look pretty well placed. And everything seems to be in quadrant 1, so oops, that's good. Feeling like the hands are a bit small compared to the rest of the body, so I might take these guys, scale them up. Whoops, didn't want to do that. There we go. Something like that. Yeah, they got real small for some reason. Let's lay those out again. Okay, that seems a little bit better. Because yeah, it seemed like the hands are quite small. And actually, yeah, these look small too. wonder what happens if I just unfold the whole thing again. Oh, control right mouse click 2 UVs. It's fairly dense, so it's taking a minute. Yeah, they did the hand small again. Yeah, it was just a little bit surprised how sort of short it's making those arms, which I would expect to kind of stretch out the checker like a little bit. But I think it'll be fine the way you had it. But maybe, if you want to have the opportunity to have a little more detail on the hands, you might make those a little bigger. That's all. Next up is Stephanie. And you might want to just hide this for something that seems a little strange about the... I think it's just intersecting the face there. I'm just going to hide this for the moment so I can just focus on the rest of this. Yeah, not really seeing anything that catches my eye as a problem. I can see you've split this into a couple different maps, which is all good. I would argue that I'd like some more real estate to work with on the face, so I might go big on that and lay those out again. And you see that the checks are denser on the face, but that's on purpose so that you can paint a little more detail on there. I guess that's fine. I mean, it's probably more kind of relative detail than you need on the head, but that's fine. I think, yeah, it's tricky. I'm just wondering if it's more cuts than you need, but I don't think it's going to give you any trouble when you're painting it, so it should be fine. Yeah, overall it looks good. I guess just the one thing is having a little bit more to work with on the face. So next up is Pierre, and it looks like you're using Maya 2016 or 2017. Yeah, automatic mapping is not the way to go for this. So look at all the teeny tiny little things it puts in. I've opened this in my 2015 and I'm getting errors. Might be good to delete history before you turn your stuff in. So obviously I can't judge that, but I can just tell from this that it's problematic. So I would go back through the video. The surface looks okay, so let's delete by type history, and let's do create UVs and just do a planar mapping just to get one solid thing again. And then if you're having trouble finding your border edges, you can turn that on and it'll help you see them. I might go here, we can do show, isolate, select, view selected, so we get the rest of it out of the way. And then just if you have symmetry working, yes. So we go there, cut, and you see how you can really see the border edges there. Maybe here, cut, maybe there. You can also use G for most recently used function, the G key. G as in go. I don't know how closely I'm following what I did in the tutorial earlier, but I'm just going to deselect that, and where does this end? Maybe deselect that and cut, and the wrists cut, and kind of along the see the edges here. Probably do not want to do this whole middle part there, but I got it going around the hands up to a point here, and maybe I'll continue that on to there. Again, using G, you can see where that cut went. Sort of filleted the hands, if you will. Anyways, I'm just doing this real quick, probably here, and then I'll shift double click here, cut that. Definitely one on the neck, and some around the sides of the head. Probably start here and shift double click here. No, it's going all the way around. Okay, I'll just go in the front view and just deselect that, so it's really just the head. Oh yeah, and just control select there. Cut that. Anyways, oh, that didn't make it all the way around, so I'm just double clicking there, double clicking there. Yeah, that's completing that one to there. Yeah, probably around these ears we're gonna need to, oops, let's see what happens if I double click. Yep, well, it's looking pretty good. Okay. So I don't really know if I'm done yet. Oh, you know what? I'm definitely going to have to split somewhere on the torso, so it's sort of twisted here. I'm not really sure. Usually I would do along the top there, maybe from here to there. And yeah, that is mirroring. Okay. Got that, and usually, somewhere in the crotch it's good to do. Okay. Alright, so something like that. I think I want to keep going on these feet here. Alright. Let's give it a try, see where we're at the end of that. Something went wrong here, because those are overlapping. Whoa. Oh. Oh, I still have mirroring on. Let's turn that off. Sorry. What is this? I think that I need to cut down the sides of the body. Let's just turn the symmetry on. That was really helping me do this. So I think, let's just control selecting there. And then, make sure this goes all the way up to the arm. So oops, I lost that. Okay, let's get that back in there. So just cutting along there, and yes, it's done it on this side as well. Cut that, and then let's try it again. Yikes. Something's gone terribly wrong. Let's just try deleting history real quick. Could have something to do with the fact that this was a Maya 2017 file, and then I'm using, God, it was working fine a minute ago. Hope we get it back. Seems very unhappy. Strange. I thought I was like 90% of the way there and suddenly it went berserk. Really weird. Well, I don't know what went wrong at the end there. I think it was actually going really well. Um, but yeah, you could probably follow those same steps and save along the way, and it'll probably work for you. But I think, again, maybe it has to do with I was using my 2017 file in my 2015. But anyways, I just wanted to show you that to show you how you could quickly add the cuts, easily see them, and unfold. And now something's gone terribly wrong. So I don't know why. But anyways, you get the idea. Next up is Sean, and yeah, I mean, a quick look at this, it's looking fine. I think nothing is sort of jumping out at me as looking too stretched or pinched or anything. Yeah, and it's all in the one quadrant. Hands look maybe a little small. I might go bigger on those. You could just go to shell and select these. Why did it do that? It's not liking me today. Yeah, so those are a little bigger now. But besides that, yeah, that should work well.